like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy, then you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell. Yeah, probably like this, and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Appreciate you guys for being in the live stream. Much love to the fam. Much love, much love. So thank you for being here. Big ups to everybody, man. Listen, we're going to talk a little black and gold tonight on the coma. And listen, man, a lot of stuff going on today on this Monday stream, to be honest with you, man. Appreciate y'all for being in the live. Man, all I can tell you is that, sheesh, we got a few things going on with him. As we seen Tyler Shuck back with the one, Spencer was working with the twos, as you guys can see of some of the highlights that they were having. A lot of good football was had and practicing, and this is, you know, as the first padded practice with a lot of the hitting, allowed for the hitting to be gone. It feels like football again. Saints getting it in, man. And let's talk about that, man. We'll go over a few news notes tonight. And shout out to the fam. Appreciate y'all. Y'all do me a service on this one by hitting the like button. Much love. I see OG Jerry. Big ups to you, fam. Much love to you guys. Appreciate y'all. Jaden, I see you, man. Big ups, brother Richard. Brian, how you doing, man? Brian, big ups to you as well. We up in this thing, fam. We up in this thing. All right, so let's get right to it, fam. Let's get right to it. All right, so anyway, what's up, KK? In this one, man, today on the Monday practice, a lot of stuff happening. First and foremost, shout out to JT Gray. He had an injury at practice today. That's something we talk about as well. He left the field with the trainer. They kind of downplaying it for right now. It was mentioned, Kellen Moore did mention it as a lower leg injury and said that it'll be evaluated at another time. As you know, they don't have to give us no injury report, so to speak, as well. But that's something to get out right away. Linebacker Demario Davis came back to practice. That was good to see him back out there. First full pads practice of the new training camp time. They had the first of 4 practices that they're going to have. The DBs, like I say, JT Gray, lower leg issue. They're going to notify us about that later. The quarterback particularly is what a lot of people kind of focusing on, and rightfully so. It's the most important position on the football field. Tyler Shuck ran with the first team on the south side of the field. Spencer Rattler worked with the second team on the north side of the field, and each quarterback worked out 8 full reps before the horn blew. Then everybody went to the south side. Tyler Shuck got 7 reps. Rattler had 4. Jake Hander entered the practice with 4 reps. And that capped off the practice with a 20-yard completion on the comeback route to wide receiver Dante Pettis. Now, defensive back Julian Blackman, they had the interview that they released today. Good seeing him there. He received his official summer indoctrination to the Saints by showing up, with his first snowball, courtesy of Droopies. If you remember them, they got some pretty good snowballs. He mentioned, a few other things as well. But it's hot, man. It's going on out there. It's very hot out there. So, like I said, first full practice in pads, a lot of hitting going on with the offensive line versus the defensive line and some one-on-one drills. Rest of them was involved with 7-on-7 drills. The starters were going against the starters. Sometimes you've seen some of the doubling on the reps. Defensive tackle Brian Brissy matched up with Trevor Penning. Defensive end Cam Jordan faced off against Tali Fuaga. Right guard Cesar Ruiz squared off against defensive tackle Nathan Shepard. And typical of these drills that both sides of the ball show individual wins, but the biggest matchup came with first round draft pick Kevin Banks Jr. Kelvin Banks Jr. was matched up against Chris Rump II. Now Rump had a nice little spin around move on Banks, who he was quickly brought back down to earth by Banks with a slamming pancake block. So let me tell you something about Kelvin Banks Jr. Big guy. I ain't gonna call him a dancing bear, but the guy can move. The guy is a 6'5", 315-pounder, but he's very quick. He don't move like a slow plodding big defensive end. He's a fleet of foot, big guy that can move. His footwork is really good. And that's one of the things that helped him when he was with Texas, man, is the fact that he always some kind of way maintains his leverage and his power. He knows how to move them feet. He don't have lazy feet. He moves them feet and get them set so he can use that as a base for his technique. So he showed some stuff on this day. So we need to see more of that because he's got one of the most important jobs, and that's covering the blind side of the quarterback. So that's pretty big as well. And of course, a couple of plays of the day to talk about. The first was the explosive one during the first team period when Spencer threw one down the sideline to Rashid Shaheed, who beat Quincy Riley, the rookie. That was big. And then he hauled in the pass for about a 55-yard gain, and that was the biggest play of practice in terms of yardage, right? And then, of course, the other three quarterbacks face repeated defensive pressure, something they got none of during the first practice, and that's what makes it, that turns up everything, is how will the young quarterbacks deal with the pressure of the defensive line, firing off, getting in there, making things pop and shake. How will those guys deal with it? Of course, a lot of that wasn't happening in the previous sessions simply because, they had an opportunity to kind of fire that thing off without having anybody running at them. So it's a whole different world when that kind of thing happened. But this play took place in Tyler Shuck's last set of reps when he kind of shook up. But on rep number 2, Shuck again faced pretty solid pressure, including an extra blitzer from the outside. The first team offensive line provided some protection and had a tight pocket around Tyler Shuck, who stepped up inside and calmly delivered a perfect 20-yard spiral downfield to Brandon Cooks, who was streaking on the right side and left across the field. And then, of course, the patience, the lack of happy feet, and the accurate throw to a viable weapon might not have been the flashiest play of Monday, but it was good to see the rookie stand tall in the pocket and deliver the throw. So that was of notable reference as well. So a lot of stuff still to take away from camp to kind of talk about it, and we talk about some more of it going forward. But it's going to be interesting because Tyler Shuck is given the first team reps, and you can see that what Coach Moore is going to do is kind of move these guys around back and forth. Mostly, I still say it'll be Spencer Rattler and Tyler Shuck in between, giving them opportunities to get play behind the first team offense. And that's smart to do, right? They'll allow that to happen. But we've seen Tyler Shuck make a few good plays. Spencer Rattler, for the most part, during it, leaning into it, has been pretty solid and poised as well in the pocket. And, the Rashid Shaheed throw was really good. And then, of course, Jake Hayner, he had an up and down practice on Monday while he did make a great play by stepping up in the pocket and throwing that touchdown pass to Bub Means, he made a few throws that were batted down by defenders. So Hayner performed better in the quarterback battle than some expected, but not good enough to consider him like in the top two competition. Let's just be serious. The O-line and defensive lines was something that we really wanted to see, but the defensive line has been cutting up for most of training camp, right? Carl Granderson and Chase Young basically getting back there all the time. Brian Bresee and Chris Rumph is making a name for himself too. Chris Rumph's a guy came through here. They picked him up, and we talked about some of these guys that Coach Staley wanted to bring on the team. Jonah Williams, Chris Rumph. They added Bullard, Jonathan Bullard. So he's bringing these guys in here because he has an idea of what kind of defensive players that he wants to use that will play well in the system. Now he knows Chris Rumph II from his time out on the West Coast. But you seeing them guys getting a lot of pressure there. So Monday with the defensive line continue to be disruptive, we started to see more promising showings from the offense because the defense, iron sharpens iron, right? So during the one-on-ones, we talked about Kelvin Banks doing what he did. That was some of the really good ones. Them guys going at each other. And like I said, the first time they can actually mix in. And this is going to be a long training camp, right? So it's a lot of individual battles, a lot of the offense versus defense, seeing eventually, what that offensive line could be versus that defense, which Coach Staley. Now, the quarterbacks are going to steal the day because of the notoriety of the position, but the defense is what I'm looking at, right? As well. The 34 going from 43 to 34, we know that there'll be packages where he'll have 5 defensive backs out there. They've already kind of hinted at that. And that's something that we want to see. How well can Coach Staley convert the Saints 43 defense to a 34 look where it can be fast and furious, stopping the run? Who's going to step up and occupy some of these positions? We got a lot of guys on the team, and where they could play will be interesting. Like, there's a lot of versatility. Staley has got to be like, man, he got to be, basically foaming at the mouth, thinking in his head, man, damn, man, we got all these people here, and I can run this, I can do that, I can run these different, this kind of stuff. So it's going to be fun watching the offense go, Kellen Moore's offense against Brendan Staley's defense and practice and training camp. I'm just looking forward to that battle right there, right? And of course, the special team. Blake Gripe is just running away with this thing. The man is almost perfect. He has 9 of 10 on his field goal kicks. His one miss was a 49-yarder. Charlie Smith not doing so hot. He's failed to even keep it close. He 5 of 10 for 50%, so that's not going to cut it. A lot of time still left for him to kind of pick up his game as early on, but he got to start kicking and get back into it. But Blake Grupe is definitely dominating the competition between him and Charlie Smith. And of course, we will still be paying attention to the kick return and punt return aspect of it. When it gets to that, it's like, okay, what is that going to look like? Who's going to be the returner? Or are they going to continue to use Rashid Shaheed in kick return and punt returning duties? Who's going to step up and take the job as a returner? We know that Velus Jones Jr. is a guy that's mentioned there. Can Clyde Edwards-Helaire contribute? Do they have a wide receiver? We know Dante Pettis was doing his thing last year. Would he reprise that role? Because we know that for guys that's the 4, if the Saints it's very likely the Saints keep 5 wide receivers, right? Very likely it's a safe number to say. And whoever the 5th receiver is, they're going to have to play special teams. So a lot of people think Dante Pettis could be that guy because Dante Pettis is tall. He's got really good speed. He's a solid special teams player. He can catch the ball. He showed some stuff when the Saints put him out there in the offense last year. They kind of moved Mason Tipton out the way, even though Mason Tipton did this last year in training camp. So when I see Mason making these catches and, making the first down sign, that don't really surprise me about Mason Tipton because he's done that. He did that last year. So, I say, okay, you can do it when the games don't really count, but can you do it when it count? Can you flip the switch and make it count? He didn't do it last year. He was a rookie. He was dropping passes. He even lost his position, got buried in the depth chart actively. That's how we end up getting a lot of these other receivers like Pettis and finding out what he can do. And the Saints were impressed by him. They gave him a 1-year deal to come back. He can make this team well. So it's going to be interesting with the kick return. We know Burnup is going up against the punter. So we're going to find out exactly, what some of our specialists has got going on, because that's also another battle that we don't want to kind of forget about in this thing. All right, let's keep it moving. The next article as well to talk about from shout out to Brother Mosley, Sports Illustrated, covering the black and gold. Saints release former Cowboy offensive tackle. Now, remember, we talked this crazy, man, because we were talking about this, family, on our Sunday stream when we were going over the fact that we didn't like the depth that the Saints had. We don't know who these guys are. We know Landon Young is, to me, I don't think Landon Young is going to get any better than what he is. Nick Saldiveri doesn't, it doesn't stay healthy. He's always hurt. He's an enigma. You have these Barry Wesley, these type of players. If the Saints offensive line will have to stay healthy for the entire season. So we don't. In other words, we don't have a bona fide serious tackle that can come off the bench if we had tackles that were down for a game or two, right? You see what I'm saying? That was an issue we dealt with last year. And as I was looking at this depth chart coming into the season, like, man, we need to do more here. The Saints didn't do anything in terms of that until now. We said, man, you need to do better backup offensive line. And the Saints put one of those backups in the street. Saints going to have to trim the roster down to 53. Most of the decisions are weeks away, but the Saints did make a move on Monday. The Saints reportedly released 27-year-old offensive tackle Josh Ball, right? This is Nick Underhill on the scoop. They released him. Now, Ball played in 13 games at the NFL level. He was selected in the 4th round in 21 by the Cowboys. But injuries plagued the guy through his time. He was only able to play in 13 games in all of 2022. He spent last year on the Cowboys practice squad. In this offseason, he signed with the Saints, but he's being released. So we'll see if the Saints look to eventually bring him back. That's just speculation, though. We're just in the second week of training camp right now. And over the next few weeks, there are going to be plenty of more decisions. There will be players leaving the franchise and maybe even a few additions as well. So just the beginning of the roster decisions. By the time New Orleans Week 1 clash against Arizona comes around about September the 7th, the final roster is going to look a lot different. I agree with the writer. I agree with that big time. But Josh Ball was a guy, like I said, he was set up to be a backup for our starting tackles. And perhaps the Saints see, like I said, it's a lot of inexperienced players backing up the Saints, a lot of inexperienced people. We'll see what the Saints do with the release. Now, like I said, we still need to find some talent out there, man. We still need to see if we can bring in NFL caliber backup. I know it's late in the game, but man, we got to do, we got to do something with that. I don't feel very confident about the Saints offensive line, the backups anyway. Right? That's just my thinking. They put Josh Ball in the street. They got to be thinking something. You got to be thinking something, because I'm like, man, listen, bro, do something, man. We just can't sit up here and say, yeah, we're going to just be good with these other guys here. No, we got to do something. We got to see if we can reach out there and find some other people that could possibly be available. And just to kind of throw this out here to the fam, you see these few people. Tyron Smith, I think he retired. But these are some guys that's still available if the Saints wanted to add some tackle help, right? We see a bunch of these veteran guys. You see Jedrick Willis, who played with the Browns last year. George Fant, who's the brother of the tight end we just brought in for a look-see, more on him in a second. Andrews Pete is still out there. No Ali Udo. He was pathetic for the Saints last year. And there are other guys. Whether the Saints want to look at bringing in one of these guys, we'll see what there is. Lyle Collins is another guy that a lot of people was thinking about. He was kind of, he has the connection to Kellen Moore. And he was basically kind of, kind of standing up there saying, kind of beefing up and promoting for the Saints to bring him in there. And I don't know how much gas Lyle Collins has left in the tank. He's still a young player. He still might be able to give you some decent reps as a backup tackle. But, I mean, if you look at who you got as backup tackles, none of them guys are better than Lyle Collins, right? So this might be a case where you get rid of one former Cowboy for another. You see what I'm saying? That might indeed be the case, right? All right, Richard. Yeah, Professor. What's up, Professor? All right. What's up, Sam? How you doing, sir? Richard says, yeah, Lyle Collins. Yeah, I got you. What's up, Willie? Backwoods, shout out to you. KKL Blair, much love. Yeah. All right. So this is the thing. So we're gonna see what's like I said, we talked about this on Sunday that the Saints needed help, better backups, and then on Monday they put ball in the street. This is crazy. But anyway, let's see what they do. All right, let's keep it moving, man. This was something that we were talked about as well. I did mention on the Sunday stream that Kat Terrell really said that she threw it out that Noah Fant had left the Saints without a deal, and he's going. I think it's to the Miami Dolphins are one of these teams. I'm going to go into the report and talk about it, that he's still kind of moving on and going to talk to other people. So Noah Fant leaves the Saints without a deal, makes a free agent visit with AFC team. So Juwan Johnson may not get his wish. The Saints veteran tight end laid out a compelling argument for teaming up with Noah Fant, the former first-round pick who met with the Saints on a free agent visit last week. But Fant left town without a deal. And now NFL insider Jordan Schultz, who originally reported it, that Fant is visiting the Miami Dolphins. It is the third visit in Fant's free agency tour after he previously sat down with the Saints and the Bengals. The Seahawks released him just before training camp after acquiring him in the blockbuster trade for Russell Wilson. The Broncos originally drafted him back in 2019. He's a 27-year-old, caught over 300 passes, over 3,000 yards, with 15 touchdowns and played 92 games. So he's a good player, right? Just to be sitting there, right? That we still have just sitting there in free agency. And like you say, he's doing his tour, and we'll see what he wants to do going forward. But if it's a problem, man, perhaps the Saints might look elsewhere, because they most certainly could use a Noah Fant. I ain't gonna kid you and tell you no lie. We could most certainly use him, and might be the thing that Noah Fant is basically looking at is who can give him the most money right before camp starting. He had an opportunity to be that free agent, and he going around late in the game, but he's trying to figure out which team will give him a better opportunity to step up and play. Maybe not so much in where he went to Cincinnati. The best the Saints can do is say, hey, man, we'll put you as a number 2 tight end with Juwan Johnson. Maybe Miami might have a starting spot. So it got to be, money and an opportunity to start. I think Noah Fant would do well in a combo type deal with Juwan Johnson. But then again, maybe the Saints probably not going to offer him more than a 1-year deal, right? A proven 1-year deal. They already committed to Juwan for 3 years at $10 million a year. So what the Saints looking for. So anyway, it's going to be interesting to see exactly what how it is. But he's trying to see if he can make some bread. If Noah Fant is not indeed the guy, perhaps the Saints could take a look at some of these other guys right here in this list. You can see Noah Fant on top of it. A little older tight end in Gerald Everett, who played with the Rams, the Bears. And then there are a few other guys on this list that's not as talented as Noah Fant. But in the end, they could serve as a decent option in bringing in. Of course, like I said, with both Taysom Hill and Foster Moreau on the PUP list, the Saints have blocking tight end Jack Stahl. They got 7th-round draft pick Matavo, and they got a bunch of inexperienced tight ends, Trayton Welch, Jacobson, and others are there as well. So it wouldn't hurt to get a Noah Fant. We'll see what he is and see if he makes his decision, but it should happen pretty fast, for him to find out where he wants to go so that he can get in camp and kind of get going. So we'll hear something by the end of the week on the decision on that. But my Saints might be only looking for a 1-year deal. Mr. Fant might be looking for a little bit more, right? All right, let's keep it moving, man. And of course, let's do a kind of a check right now. If you can see the Saints training in terms of their cap management right now, a couple of contracts did hit the Saints books. And you can see team cap space right now at 22.8. Saints sitting at over $22 million right now, sitting pretty good as it stands right now in terms of money. And I don't remember the time when the Saints had this kind of money going into it. So they're sitting actually pretty good this year with the wealth. And of course, you can see next year, the numbers, I always like to jump between numbers. They're 22 plus now. They start off 2026 at 24.5, which is not nearly as rough as it was. Thank goodness that Mr. Somebody's contract is getting up off here. They got other ones as well. So it's very good that we'll see some of this. So last time we seen the Saints start off, look at this crap, 24.5 in the red for 26. Those are normal numbers, right? People look at it, oh, maybe 20-something million dollars in the hole. We used to be in 50, 60, 80, 100 million in the hole. So they're heading in the right direction. Thanks a lot for that car contract coming. That's oh my God. Thanks a lot for that, man. So it's 24.5 to start the red off, fam, for 26, according to Sport Track. So that is a positive number, to say the least. All right. So anyway, shout out to the fam, man. Listen, man, I ain't gonna hold y'all too long on the broadcast. But listen, man, y'all got any questions, throw it in the chat. But just quick observations of just watching what we seen at camp today, man. Pretty decent. Very, very interesting to start off with the quarterbacks getting going, a fair competition, no crap talking between them. You can see the top two guys about the business. Tyler Shuck started off a little raggedy at first, have to get used to the speed, but that's totally normal. That's what it is when somebody never done it before. And then you have Spencer Rattler, who's just a lot more refined. He's not shook up by all the stuff that he's seen because he's seen a lot of reps last year, so he's kind of taking his time as well. Good seeing Kendre Miller and them mix it up. A couple of the young guys also doing their thing. Damari out there, Danny Stutzman making plays. Blackman stay healthy and make plays in place of Tyrann Mathieu out there. And we seeing a bunch of people kind of moving around and doing their thing. We heard from Alontae Taylor the other day and how he feel about the Saints defense and the energy and the vibe that's going on in the building as well. And like we talked about on the previous stream about Kendre Miller. Kendre Miller knows that his job is on the line with a very busy running back room, and he's 10 pounds lighter than what he was. Feels great, saying this is a total different season. And I'm really happy for Kendre Miller because he has the talent. He just got to put it all together. And we'll see what he can do this year. Also, trying to find out who is the next wide receiver to step up out of the top three guys. We've seen Brandon Cook make some plays. We've seen Chris Olave getting that. Rashid Shaheed made a big play with his speed. He's also getting stronger as well. Not and trying to transform to just not be the deep slot guy or whatever this type of thing. He's trying to show you I could play the game, and it's just looking good. Who's going to step up? A lot of people think Bub Means can step into that A.J. Brown role that Kellen Moore had Philly running last year. Can he be that guy? Who's going to be that guy? Who's going to step up there? A lot of people like Bub. He has to stay healthy. He came into camp in great shape. He got his mindset. And we know Bub Means was a solid college wide receiver. He should thrive in Kellen Moore's offense. A physical wide receiver that has some speed. He ain't just a guy that can catch, but he's a physical guy that has a degree of speed too. So he should thrive in the system. Nothing on Donovan Peoples-Jones as of yet. Him stepping out and stepping up. We did from Mason Tipton. Heard a few things about Pettis, but none of these other guys, right? And of course, looking at the Saints defensive line and all these different guys stepping up, making names for themselves. Chris Rump II just has been doing really good in camp thus far early on. So it's just Brian Bursee's another guy that wants to take it to the next level. Vernon Brockton has to learn the game. Big guy, physical, strong, still developing. So the Saints have a lot of really talented players on a defensive line, and they have to get it. And like I said, the transition from 43 to 34, he brought in a lot of people that has a familiarity with the 34 defense, and them guys will help with the transition. So it's going to be interesting, man. No matter how you slice it, man. We just love what we're seeing in the Saints. It's hot. It's hot out there, man. You know it's New Orleans around this time. And the bottom line, what's up, Greg? Shout out to you, KT. What's up, KT? All right, but yeah. What's up, Tasha? Shout out to Tasha as well. But yeah, this is the thing. You know, it's hot out there. It's New Orleans, right? And they understand that. And for in winning times, not so much over the last 4 years, right? Because we had an idiot running the team. But prior to that, Sean Payton used to do before. He had a few times where he'll take him up to he took him to the golf course or what some type of resort that they had out there in Florida. And people thought he was doing that because I think his lady friend at the time before he got married was living out there. And they figured that's why he did. I think that's why he did. That was a rumor now. But he took him here and there. We know last year the Saints, I think they did the California thing. But if you trying to build a tough team, man, keep your ass in the heat as much as you can, right? We ain't trying to go out there and all this kind of stuff. If you want to get cool, go play indoors, right? Go to the indoor facility. But the heat is high, and we talk about something that's worth something. When you you putting tough stuff together, you're using heat to put it together and smelting things and all that. And that's what you're doing. You're building a solid, strong, tough team, playing in that heat and dealing with that and still making plays. That says something about the mindset. That helps build the mindset and the overall toughness of the team to be able to compete in those elements safely. So, I like what Kellen Moore is doing. He just making the right moves thus far. I like what he's doing thus far up to this point, making the right moves, making the right calls, bringing in that trainer we talked about, Tom Rath, the right assistants to work with him, getting the right people on the defensive side, and just keep building, just keep adding. We still need help on the offensive side of the ball. I'm anticipating something's going. They freed up that spot with Josh Ball. Something's coming, right? We know eventually they're gonna make a call on something, whether it's Lyle Collins or Noah Fant. Something's going to fill that spot. So hopefully it's an experienced player that can step in and help the Saints. Because like I said, we still need some backup help right there. And once Kellen Moore, and see, all of that's going to come to light when you start seeing more and more of these guys play ball. When that training camp, when them preseason games come around, oh my goodness, you're going to see it all, baby. As we get further into training camp and more tallies are added up of who's doing what, doing that, and players struggling, there's going to be struggling ass players that ain't going to make it. There's going to be people that get hurt that might be put on a list or something, and there'll be opportunities to fill spots. So I don't think what you got now in this totality in terms of the reserves you're going to have when you get to into the preseason games. You're going to have 4 or 5 player difference at least coming into it based on the injuries and play, because some guys are not going to make it. It's just what it is, especially if you're a coach that knows that he can't make any errors or have any mistakes in terms of his offensive line. That is what he that's exactly what it is that we need to worry, not worry about, but have concerns about. If we know Kellen Moore is going to make the ground and pound work, you got to fortify your offensive line with quality backups that that if a guy go down, you can put one of those road graders in there, and then they'll just keep the running game open. Because at no point if you're going to win some games, at no point do you could you afford to allow that to happen, to allow people to stop you from running the ball and put pressure on your young quarterback to beat them, because that's what they're going to do. And they're going to stock the box, and you're going to have to figure out ways to still keep the running game going with Elvin or others, even if you have to operate those stretch running plays or reverse plays or end arounds or screens or whatever you got to do. You got to be able to take advantage and still be able to run the football to take pressure off the signal caller, right? So that's one of those things. KT says, yeah, the idiot possum. Yeah, we can't allow that. We can't allow them to stop us running the ball. KT says, Q, did you see the highlight? Yeah, I did see Marcus. I just played some highlights of Marcus. Yeah, Marcus Yarns, the running back, the undrafted running back. It don't surprise me how good the guy is. The Saints always get, every year they get a really good running back that we always talking about, right? Remember they had what's the game? Jacob Kabadi, who came from the University of Lafayette. I want to say he was a Raging Cajun running back, a North-South thumper. He was doing good in camp and making noise. You know what I'm saying? The Saints put him in the street with Dennis Allen, but Marcus Yarn's one of these guys that got the speed, the vision, and he can catch the ball out the backfield, but he's the literal definition of long shot for the New Orleans Saints, unless he is trying to be a kick returner and punt returner like Velus. Velus Jones Jr. is another guy that's a long shot, but these guys' only chance is for them to make the team as a special teamer. They're not going to make it as a running back. It's just the running back room is too slam packed with other guys. Even if the Saints keep four backs on the active roster going into it for the 53 man for the new season, and he most certainly won't be one of them. He probably headed to the practice squad, but every year the Saints always have these fantastic running backs. They find them every year, and Marcus Yarns is one of them. Yeah, Greg, remember Jacob Kabadi? He was another good dude. They just put him in the street, right? So it's going to be fun watching it, man. So yeah, defense, offense, doing what they do, having those matches. It's going to be fun, man. All right. Yeah, Richard says Yarns is a sleeper for sure. She was a long shot when he came. When they, remember the year before that they had what was the guy? Deontay Harris Hardy, right? Deontay Harris Hardy was the kick returner. The Saints basically had a blueprint, because what they was doing was, they would go and get what Harris was. Harris held all of these records in the punt return game. He had all these kick return, punt return. He was an ace. So the Saints used the same blueprint and mindset to find Rashid Shaheed, who was basically almost similar, very similar to Deontay Harris Hardy in his return game ability, except for Rashid Shaheed was taller. He's 6'1", good size, this type of stuff. He developed fast because of Michael Thomas and others working with him. Michael Thomas took Rashid Shaheed under his wing, was teaching him about route running. That's why his route running is a lot crisper for a player of his years. And his return, his special teams acumen was so elite. That's how he got that Pro Bowl. So we have Deontay Harris Hardy had a Pro Bowl there. We have Rashid Shaheed got a Pro Bowl as a return man. And it's just these guys. The guy's the fastest guy on the team. But you've seen that in college, because he was doing it in college at Weber State. He was tearing them up. And then the Saints kind of did it again on a lesser scale. They got when they find Pettis. Now, Pettis was also very good in special teams, right? And they found him. He had a few returns right here. He wasn't no record keeper like those two guys, but Pettis was one of those guys that you bring in. Got good size, can run, right? Run decent routes as well. But yeah, Rashid Shaheed's a guy that if I'm the Saints, I'm definitely looking at having somebody back there else returning punts and kicks for me, and not having him involved in that aspect. Now, every now and again, if you need a little jolt, you could throw him in there. But Rashid Shaheed, if you have the imagination, It's not just a wide receiver. You can have him back there in tosses and having him doing with screens and all that. You can take advantage of his speed. You really can. And that's one thing you notice about the Saints right away is the fact that you might not like, I like Chris Olave, I like Rashid Shaheed, I respect Brandon Cooks. One thing you might know about them guys, they're not the biggest guys in the world, but you got basically a track team right there. You know what I'm saying? So Kellen Moore got something he got up his sleeve. When he bringing them guys together, we just see what it is, right? All right. All right, Tasha. Shout out to you. All right, Jack says we had a lot of sleepers under Peyton because he would find one thing a player was good at and exploit. Yeah, Coach Peyton was really good at that. KT says Rico Payton was a long shot. Yes, he was a long shot. Yeah, he was. But Rico Payton played really well last year to get that right. He really did. Rico Payton was a guy that he made it. Rico Payton made himself present, right? He was a big cornerback, had good size on him. He was in there playing well. He played well. He played well. He played well when he was given an opportunity in practice, and he earned his way on to the Saints team. A lot of people thought that Rico Payton is going to be a part of the future. Well, I mean, it gets a little bit more difficult because the Saints added a few more people around him. They brought back Isaac Yiadom. Brought him back on a multi-year agreement. They drafted Quincy Riley from Louisville. They drafted him, and they added other guys. But Rico Payton should be considered like what, one of the top, 5 cornerbacks you have. Now, money rules it all, but that's why Rico probably will end up, in terms of, they're gonna keep Isaac Yiadom if he's healthy. Kool-Aid McKinstry, Alontae Tiggs, Isaac Yiadom, and Quincy Riley. Those are what, 4 guys, 4 guys right there. And then Rico Payton will be the 5th guy in my estimation. Whether Ugo Amadi is or Dallas Beanham's another guy that's very interesting. Rajon Wright, we heard him in there trying to mix it up. He the one got punched at by Cooks. So I mean, he's, in my opinion, Rico Payton is like maybe the 5th guy, barring injury. But we'll see what happens there, man. But I do like Rico Payton. I like his game. All right, Chris Tyree, Moochie Dixon, or Speeds as well. I think even Bud means right. Yeah, they got a good size. I don't know. Them guys are on outside looking in. I think, barring injury, because it's a big running back room outside the big 3: Brandon Cooks, Rashid Shaheed, and Chris Olave. Bub Means, Kevin Austin Jr., Cedric Wilson Jr., Mason Tipton, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Dante Pettis, and then you say Moochie Dixon and Chris Tyree. So those guys on the outside looking in with a loaded wide receiver room like that. So can either of these guys leapfrog the guys I just mentioned? That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. That'd be quite the thing. They would have to literally ball the hell out, to make it. All right, what's up, Garvin? Shout out to Garvin O'Sullivan, man. Up 6 a.m. from Ireland. Who that? And thank God we free of DA and Carr. Indeed, man. Shout out to you and appreciate you for being in the live. Six o'clock in the morning. Who that? All right. Shout out to you out there in Ireland, man. KT said, I think Cedric Wilson is a surprise cut. Not so much. I don't think it's a surprise cut at all, in my opinion, bro. Y'all know how I said about that guy last year. I've constantly said that Cedric Wilson Jr., the Saints wanted, and people forget this because it failed so miserably. I guess they just want to throw it out their minds. But y'all remember, Cedric Wilson Jr. was given a 2-year agreement. They brought him in when Michael Thomas left. When Michael Thomas' contract ran out, they wanted a veteran, and they thought Cedric Wilson Jr. would be the guy that complements Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. That's what they were trying to do. Because, it was Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed. That was a nice look. But when that fell apart, they brought in Cedric Wilson Jr. to add to Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed, and it failed miserably because Wilson could not keep up. He got hurt. And then when he got healthy, he got hurt again. He was in and out of the lineup. When he was in the game, he was not effective. He didn't have a lot of catches, and it was just not a good look for Cedric Wilson Jr. It really wasn't. But him knowing Kellen Moore, and he had decent years with Kellen Moore when he was with Dallas, people are thinking that might give him new life because what Kellen was doing would be doing here, he'll have some familiarity with it. It'll be an easier transition for Kevin Austin Jr. But he's getting older, so he's one of the most senior members outside of Cooks. Cedric Wilson Jr. is one of the senior members of the wide receiver core. But we know that Bub Means very well could be the fourth wide receiver, and Pettis could be the fifth one because the fifth guy is going to be a special teamer. He's going to be a guy that kick return, punt return. So I don't know if the Saints keep 6 wide receivers. They very well, but I'm betting on 5. So if that is indeed the case, where does that put Cedric Wilson at? That puts him on outside looking in. So, we'll see how it all goes, man. But yeah, Cedric Wilson Jr. to me is not a surprise cut. I said he should have got cut last year. For real. He wasn't doing anything. Right? All right. Jack says we can't he says, why can't we trade down 1 year and collect high round ballers instead of talking about late round undrafted free agents? Because Jack, that's the philosophy of the Saints, man. That's how they get through it. And when they find something that they think works, they stick with it. That's the bottom line. That's what the hell they do, right? That's just their mentality on how they operate. And remember, at the top, the Saints are ran by Mickey Loomis, and Jeff Ireland is a brown noser. So a lot of these guys, they're not going to rock the boat to create something new. They're going to go with the flow. They're going to just keep, collecting checks and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, they're going, when they find something that works, they stick with it, man, to be honest with you. What's going on with Vernon Brockton? Vernon Brockton still is learning the game, man. You haven't heard anything about Brockton. He ain't hurt. He's out there, but he's still learning the game. It's a lot of competition the Saints brought in to compete with Vernon Brockton, right? Even if you're talking about using them inside and outside, it's still a lot of competition. The Saints added Jonathan Bullard, who's a multi-year veteran, to join the team. They added Jonah Williams as well, and all these other guys. They still got, guys like Nathan Shepard and Colin Saunders still here. So there's a lot of guys. We know Brian Bresee will operate the opposite side. Cam Jordan, they still thinking like Cam Jordan is supposed to be a guy starting. I don't think Cam Jordan should be starting. I don't think he is. Don't get me wrong. I think Cam, can he benefit by playing the 34 defense as one of the ends? Sure, Cam's savvy, but I think eventually they might start off with him, but eventually you might see one of these other young players get in there because that's what you got him here for. They're going to use Cam for the 1 year that he's remaining, but there's still a lot of young players that got to, learn. Vernon Brockton has got to learn. He got talent, and Coach Bo Davis is the defensive line coach. He's going to make sure he got it because they basically made that pick based on what Bo Davis was saying. So we'll see how it all going, but we'll see what Vernon does. But he ain't flashing yet. But it's still very early on, right? Jaden says, "Q, if the Falcons," he says, "Big Q, F the Falcons and the fan and this, what, more than a game, we did not forget the Falcons lost 28-3. Who that? Thank you, fam. Appreciate you." He says, "Why did we waste the 3rd round on Brockton? We could have drafted one." No, I don't think they wasted it. I think Vernon Brockton is the future. That's the bottom line. Vernon Brockton's going to be good, man. Like at first, I was surprised by the pick. I was like, Vernon Brockton, because he's the least known member of that defensive line. Like they have some really good players on that line. But Vernon Brockton, if you go back and study the film, Vernon Brockton plays very similar to Brian Bresee, right? They really do very, very similar. Insofar as they're violent, it's like guys trying to block him and he's flailing away, slapping down hands, swimming over you, pushing you down, pushing you over because the guy could play inside and out. And if you watch the tape, he basically lived in the backfield. He was in tape damn near unblockable, splitting double teams, And that's like that's his comfort zone. Like some players, they might be the single team, single block, and they got some guys who basically live, their life being double blocked. That's like what Brian Brzee. Brian Brzee's a big guy who was just gets in the backfield. He makes plays. He did what he did last year with getting all those sacks. Because Brian Brzee good. The question mark with him was, can he stay healthy? Well, he showed that he could and had an impact. He led the team in sacks, last year. But Vernon Brockton could have a similar trajectory. Like we look at guys like Cam Jordan and Jonathan Bullitt and all these other guys, but these guys are on 1-year agreements, and eventually the time will come where the young guys got to step up. But just look at it as the future being bright for the Saints defensive line with those guys, to be honest with you, and it really is bright, man. I think we'll be all right. All right. Richard says Cam is leadership at this point. Yeah, I don't think that's just me, bro. Maybe he starts out that way, but remember and then again, remember for years before Cam made it to this point, the Saints were doing load management on him. He used to complain about it, right? About him being taken off the field and they trying to do this, type of third. He used to complain about that. So maybe that has kind of helped Cam save it up so that he knows this is going to be his final year on his contract. Maybe he wants to go out with a bang. You know what I'm saying? At first, I'm going to be honest with you, fam. When he first had that first interview and he had his hair gold, and I'm like, I like Cam kind of throw it off. You can see because he do weird stuff. But, his hair was down over his face, and then he kind of took his hand, whipped it back like with his head. And I was like, oh, do I have to be worried about Cam? You know what I'm saying? I said, hold on, y'all. Put one in the chat if y'all know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? I said, hold on here. When Cam did that interview, that very first interview, Cam had his hair dyed this weird color, and Cam's a weirdo anyway. He do weird stuff and the pirate mustache and all this type of stuff. He's a big kid. He do weird stuff, right? But when Cam flipped his hair back like that by using his head, I said, man, do we need to be worried about Cam? Should we be worried about? I said, do we need to be worried about Cam Jordan? But maybe this year, like Cam saying, listen, I ain't got nothing else left in terms of year contracts. I'm going to finish my time out with the Saints and then go talk on NFL Network for the rest of my life, right? He got that type of personality, right? He can go do what Michael Strahan did without selling out too bad, right? Yeah, you don't have to go to full sellout, right? Like Strahan, you don't have to do that, but you can kind of go and make your money. You good? Your position is straight. Cam is a Hall of Famer in my book. He might not be first ballot, but I think Cam is a Hall of Famer. But anyway, maybe this is year they feel like he gonna let it. He gonna let it go in his final year. He gonna go for broke, go mad, and do everything he can to finish strong this year. So that might be actually pretty good. So we'll see, man. But like I say, Vernon Brockton's there, Jonathan Bullitt's there, Jonah Williams there. They got some people, man, that's going to compete out for those positions there, and we're gonna see where it is. All right. So Greg says, yeah, I believe that what they're going to do with Cam, they got to start with him and later they'll start. Yeah, I can see that too. I got to agree with you on that. All right, KT says Broughton is good, but he didn't know. He said you didn't notice because that's right, because of Collins. Because that's the thing. Collins stole all that thunder. But when you go past Collins and you watch Vernon Broughton's tape, that was Bo Davis saying, hey, man, that guy right there could play. But, he got picked up. Now, like I said, the two players, the second and third round picks for the Saints, a lot of people say, hey, man, that was too early for those guys. A lot of people felt Vernon Broughton would have been available in the fourth round, and that the same for Tyler Shuck. They thought he'd be available in the next round. But regardless of not, you can't deny the talent when you do look at the footage. The guy Broughton could play. I mean, the dude is already strong. He's fast. He's fleet of foot. He just raw. You got to get him together. You know what I'm saying? You got to build him up. And Bo Davis knows him, and I think that's the thing. He knows his game. He knows that coach. And I think Vernon Broughton's going to be big for the Saints, man. Going to be big for him. All right, Jack says he's going to be a bust. I don't think Broughton's going to be a bust. You don't have that weak-ass mindset that a Cedric Ellis or a Jonathan Sullivan had, right? You don't have that kind of stuff. You know, he ain't got. This guy is a fighter, and this guy, you know, it's the temperament that you want. You know, to have like with the Saints drafted. These guys have that same mentality, like Brian Bresee, Vernon Broughton. They have that type of mentality to get home. You know, that's who you and listen, that's what kind of players you got to have when you're running that 34 defense. You got to have players that are used to being double block, that basically live in that mindset. Say, hey man, I'm gonna get home every time. Both of those guys live in the backfield, and that's what they're gonna do. You got to have guys that are incredibly difficult to block, high motor guys. That's what Vernon Broughton is, and Bo Davis is gonna crystallize and watch. You're gonna see. All right. All right, let's see. KT says Q, which linebacker are we keeping? Jalen Ford. Oh, that's Ford. Ford all the way. Ford all the way. That's Ford all the way, brother. If the reason why I'm saying that is because Jalen Ford showed a little something last year. He's a guy and that's another Texas player, KT. That's another Texas player. Guy from Texas, a lot of people don't talk about. He's 6'2", about 240 something odd pounds. Very super uber productive at the University of Texas last year. The man was just all over the field. If you go back and watch footage of him playing in Texas, Jalen Ford was just cutting it up at Texas. He was tearing it up at the University of Texas. And the Saints picked this man, and they did something good. I think he would be the guy that you want to see step in there next year. Now it's night and day, right, between him and DeMarco Jackson, because DeMarco Jackson is a guy he plays the run well, but he's a crappy linebacker that drops in the coverage. It just really sucks when you see him. You know, he's not really, that's not his thing, right? Dropping in the coverage and all this kind of stuff. Now he can play the linebacker position and play the run, but when it comes down to all that other stuff, that man is he ain't there. But like I said about Jalen Ford had like 100. He had 200 tackles in 2 years with Texas. The last couple years he played with Texas, the man had over 200 tackles in 2 years. So he was out there playing his ass off. He was out there getting forced fumbles. He had 6 interceptions as well. So he had 6 picks. He had some pass defense. He had some fumble recoveries, and they had over 200 tackles between those 2 years. So because he could play all around the field, the guy could play the run and the pass. Got good athleticism. He'll stick his nose in there, and he'll knock the piss out of you too. So that's the easy one, KT. To me, that's Jalen Ford. No doubt about it. DeMarco, like I said, Anthony Orji should have put DeMarco Jackson in the street. I don't know what the Saints was doing on that. Anthony Orji did enough to have earned a spot to be able. What's up, Cap Manning? Shout out to Cap Manning. But yeah, I definitely think that DeMarco Jackson should have been cut before. You know, if I had my choice between him and Anthony Orji, man, that's. I would have put DeMarco Jackson ass in the street then. But it is what it is. Ford Stutzman at inside linebacker would be fine. Yes, but Ford has to stay healthy. Stutzman and Ford would be nice because, you know, you seen Pete Werner was healthy for the first time in his career. You won't see that trend continues going forward with Demario Davis leaving after this year. And then you have Pete Werner stepping up. You got to make sure you still have veteran depth or linebackers behind those guys, because we was good to have Pete Werner healthy, but you know, you never can tell with these linebacker types, right? Especially with them guys get hurt. Al Blair says Cam definitely will be doing something in the media after he hangs him up. Ash said, yeah, he made for that, bro. He gonna go right to the NFL network and go take a job and talk. I hear You know how many dry ass former players they got sit up there, guys that wasn't even good in professional football got jobs. We talking about third and fourth string wide receivers, third, fourth string cornerbacks, you know, backup quarterbacks, got jobs talking about the game, right? In the game, right? You got a guy like what's the dude got fired from Fox for sleeping with the old girl? He was on there talking on Fox. Now he was doing weird shit to climb the ladder because he's talentless. But at the end of the day, these type of people exist in the sports commentating world. Cam Jordan has it. He's a one of these top notch. He's a good person when he's not blaming injuries for shit. But Cam's a good community dude, and he has a full career of solid achievements. You know, so yeah, he if Acho who has no talent could do it, then Cam Jordan can knock that shit out the park. He can knock it right on out the park. Right. Yeah, there you go. Ocho, there you go. Not the brother, because I actually like the brother. The other brother, because he got a brother. I forgot. I think I don't remember the man name, but the one that's on Fox, they got another one that's really solid player. Like you can see that he's the better of the two in terms of an athlete, and he's a better speaker. He's more professional. You know, he got the talent. That other guy didn't have it. He was trying to pretend to be something that he wasn't. He was playing games politically and all that stuff, and that'll get you cut down real quick. But he ain't learned. All these idiots think that they can play that game and win. You're not gonna win at that game, so don't play it. Don't do it. But that's how some of them get down, right? KT said Heath Evans. Heath Evans sucked. I mean, what's the other dude, the little short dude that played, who was actually a pretty good running back? Maurice Jones-Drew. He was a hell of a running back, but he dry as hell with his commentary. I mean, it's just like they just some of them are just, like you see some of these people starting to jump into the podcast space that were athletes they're not making any money no more, or they're entertainers or musicians who not making money in music anymore. That's why you see an influx of people that's from that side of things rushing into the podcast space and creating podcasts. And if you notice, when you listen to them, they don't have a personality for it. A lot of them don't have the personality for it. They're just doing it because somebody told them, hey, that's the way you do it. But you got to have the personality to do this stuff, right? You got to be able to keep people entertained. You got to know how to talk to people. A lot of these people don't have that podcast person. They don't have the personality. They dry as hell, right? They're just living off the fact that people know them because they got celebrity status, so people know them. But you see it all the time. It's just really dry. They don't bring anything there. They read the teleprompter. They listen to the prompts when it's time to go to commercial. Or it's just really dry. You know, it's just they're not really bringing anything to the space. You know what I'm saying? They're just there. I see a lot of these musicians doing it or these entertainers doing it in the music business because they ain't making money like that in the music business. When they went to the streaming thing, they cheating the piss out these musicians. These former rappers, so they got to go jump into doing actual concerts to make money, right? They got to get on tours, create tours, and go make money doing it that way because the streaming stuff they cheating them out of all of it. You can have 1 million streams and get $10. How the hell that work? Because see, you ain't. It's just you ain't the boss in the game. You got to be. I ain't gonna even get into it. But at the end of the day, that's what happened. That's the truth. That's what's really going on in the game. Yeah, Cam Newton's interesting. He's an interesting person, right? But the whole thing with him and he brought the lady on there and she checked him down and she did right because he running up here trying to make that shit look all G and he got children over here and that ain't no way to man. I shun that, bro. No matter how you make it look. And I always kind of got on Cam because he used to come out here with them goddamn Whitney Houston scarves and trying to make, women clothes a man woman to women clothes. It's a different effect, right? Just say what you're doing. He's come out here with these weird hats and all this kind of stuff and doing all this and trying to look cool and smoke a cigar. And I like Cam at a point, but putting it out there like you got the kids and hear that like that's some G shit. Like man, get out of here with that, bro. Get out of here. Get out of here with that, man. You just creating broken families, man. You purposefully creating broken families, man. You know what I'm saying? Don't do that, man. But you can't tell these idiots who got a little money what to do. But anyway, yeah, it's a bunch of them out there, not just Cam, man. It's a bunch of people jumping into the space. They just don't have it. They don't have the um they don't have the personality to do it. And then when they open their mouth, oh my God, you'd be like, oh my goodness. OG says, Pam, call him. You call the man Pam Newton? Listen, the only thing I'll tell you that I ain't wearing no goddamn ankle chain. That's all I'll tell you. That hey man, listen. Kate said this guy on number one I Am Athlete podcast with Fred Taylor and Ryan Clark is trash. I can't remember his name. Oh yeah, the Ryan. Oh Ryan. I actually like what Ryan Clark and them did right there. They actually have some substance, but I know who you're talking about. It's the dude that's always the nudist camp loving dude. I remember watching the episode he's talking about, but that's Ryan Clark's guiding that thing the whole way. You could tell that. He doing that. He got a mind for that. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Jack says Cam Newton dressing like Prince. Yeah, he ain't dressing like Prince, man. That ain't the same. Nah, Prince, Prince style. Prince had, the Prince look, that was consistent. That was the Prince look. Whatever Cam doing, I don't know what that is. That's his own rendition of it, I guess. But I don't know if he got a, it's not even a Russell Westbrook thing. Russell Westbrook have his eclectic style that I don't know what Cam Newton doing, man. I'll be honest with you, and I care not to investigate that. I know I'm gonna just stay. Okay, brother. You go ahead on. You do that. All right. Yeah, El Blesser. Yeah, everybody's definitely not cut out for as great as Montana was on the field. He sucked behind the camera. Very dry, bro. Very dry. That's what I'm be saying. A lot of them not cut out for that. Cam Jordan has that personality. What's the big guy that do the skits who used to play for the 49ers? What's his name? What's the brother? Adams? Is it Anthony Adams? Is that his name? Is the brother that do you got to have the personality because to do it and as well. Like, and Cam has the personality, right? He got a good energy, and then he got a good knowledge base on things. He speaks well from experience, and he's very consistent. He's very consistent in his energy. So I think Cam would make a really solid analyst on the morning show. That's the type of guy you want to have on the morning show. He give you some hot takes and stuff like that. But some of these other guys, man, is like I just don't see how they made it, man. With the personality gene, just because you played NFL, it's cool, but you got to have the personality to hold people attention, bro, for real. All right. Anyway, what's up, True Louisiana? I'm gonna shout out to you, brother. Yeah, I'm just saying, man. At the end of the day, because the truth is, man. Listen, KT, what you talking about? She's not even a real doctor. Who you talking about, KT? And a relationships coach? Who you talking about? But yeah, it's a lot of this stuff that you hear. Like it's a lot of the trending stuff, that we talk about all the time. Like dealing with our Saints team. We see guys like Cam and all this kind of stuff. Like, man, I hate to see some of these commentators on Sunday get up there. Fam, listen, y'all hear it like I hear it. I hear people when we do the live broadcast every Sunday or Thursday or Monday, whenever the Saints play during the season, right? Preseason, regular season, we do our live. When I do the live broadcast, the call-ins, the play-by-play, I start in the preview, then go into the game, then the head to halftime, then the rest of the game, and then into the recap or the post game, and then boom, bam, beam, we out. That's 7 hours, or 7 or 8, depending on certain factors of overtime, stuff like that. That you're gonna be on air talking. And most of the times when I do my broadcast, I do it for most of the part pretty much by myself. So if you're doing that, you got to understand most of that stuff is done with teams. Like you got a color man that you bounce off ideas, stuff like if it's just you everybody. So you got to come up with stuff to be able to keep people you got to follow the game, you got to follow the plays on the field, you got to cover what's going on, you got to keep everybody. You see what I'm saying? It's not an easy thing, right? Some people make it look easy, but it's not an easy thing to do. But you see what I'm getting at? Not everybody could do that. But if you watch some of these commentators that they put on at Fox and whoever we watch in the Saints games, these be like people that they got the assignment to do the Saints games, and they are boring. They're boring, and then depending on who you get, they'll build a narrative because every game has to have a certain narrative. They'll be covering if it's an important player, like if we playing the Chiefs and they in the dome, they're gonna have all of this to do about Pat Mahomes and about this, and then they'll have Kelsey, and they'll probably put his singing girlfriend 700 times on the picture, her smiling or jumping up and down with something, and it sucks. Or then we get a bad team like Jacksonville, and then we get these two garbage commentators that are so boring. I get people always say they turn it off and turn our broadcast up and listen. God damn it, give me some soul. We gotta have some soul in this stuff. We talking if it's sports and action, man. That's like eating bland turkey and bland food with no seasoning. Who wants to do that? I don't want to do that. I'm from New Orleans. I like my food to have some flavor with it. I like my entertainment to have some goddamn flavor. I don't want to have no boring ass stuff. I'm sorry. I'm from New Orleans. God damn it. Yeah, Anthony Adams. Yes, the Bears. Yeah, there you go. Him. That dude funny, man. That's a funny brother, man. All right, yeah, McAfee. McAfee is entertaining too because he crazy. You could tell McAfee ain't. He kind of throw it off, and that also helps too. New Orleans Saxon, have we signed Fant? No, sir, we haven't. Noah Fant left the other day without a contract from the Saints. We covered it early in the broadcast. He ultimately is headed to the Miami Dolphins to get a interview there, and there is thought process is that he'll make a decision possibly after that. So I think Noah Fant could be definitely looking for more money and probably a multi-year contract. And I'm pretty sure the Saints are more than only interested in paying him a certain amount and offering him a 1-year prove-it deal. So he going to look if you can find something better, and it is what it is. Thanks for asking. L Dub, shout out. All right. Yeah, indeed, L Blair, you're right, bro. It's just boring, bro. Let's keep it a buck. It'd be boring, bro. L Dub said my TV be on mute. I let Q comment. Yeah, bro, we be cutting up, having fun. I got sound effects playing. The foot when we score a touchdown, we got the who dat music. We got the I'm a who dat playing. You know what I'm saying? We in there celebrating. You know what I'm saying? It's fun, man. Yeah, it's fun. You know what I'm saying? It's good. KT says Olsen is actually fire. Romo is good. Matt Ryan is man. Tom is hit and miss. Joe Buck and Troy Aikman are the best out. Matt and Summerall were the GOATs. Yeah, indeed, they did do a really good job. It's a tough order to keep up to, I guess. But you either have it or you don't. But all right, yeah. No, actually, the Saints are doing good, bro. The with him retiring and Derek Carr. See, it's Tyrann Mathieu, Derek Carr, Ryan Ramczyk. Those deals fall off. Like I showed this for the family members, going to do this before we get ready to go. In 2025, Saints at 22.8 plus mil right now, according to Over the Cap. Next year, 2026, they are 24.5 plus in the hole, which to me is really good because, man, listen, y'all know what time it is. 24.5 previous prior to that, it was a lot higher, but certain factors happen. You kind of drive that number down. That's a very manageable number. Now, this is the dead money, as you can see right here, that you'll be facing next year. Derek Carr, 36.6, Ryan Ramczyk's 11.9, and Tyrann Mathieu, 7.2 in dead money. That's $55.8 million in dead money, right? And you're at 24.5 in the red. Not bad. Not bad at all. That ain't bad at all for the Saints, if you know what I mean. And also, we'll see how it bends. And then, of course, we talked about the year after 2026, 2027. That's when it all falls off, and then you go 135.7. You basically got a brand new team. You got a brand new team once that happens. We talking about all these guys going. We talk about Taysom going. We're talking about it's just you got 47 people on the team. Cam gone, Taysom's gone. Um, all the people that you know and love that were you've been seeing for years are gone. Hell, you got some of these other guy agreements that's going to be up too. Outside of Taysom, you're looking at Elvin's agreement. You know, so it's a bunch of stuff that you'd be looking at that'll be off the books, man. You know, with these other guys. So it's going to be very interesting, to be honest with you, man. You know, you got contracts coming up. You got to be looking at, especially this year, when you're looking at the likes of people like Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave. Their money's coming up. So the Saints got all this money, but at the same time, you know, based on how the Saints do this year, would determine uh, what moves to make in terms of signing people, right? So we shall see, man. But we, in my point, like I said, I would definitely say the Saints are headed in the right direction. I would say that about the Pelicans. I would say that about the Saints. Finally, after 4 years of messing this thing up and the Who Dat Nation getting together and boycotting the Saints to the point where they fired that losing ass head coach. And then it culminated with completion once the quarterback he picked decided to retire and not face the Who Dat Nation, the flame and the heat of the Who Dat Nation. That all made everything better. His contract getting up out of here, that was good. Getting that loser energy off the team that Dennis Allen brought. And then having somebody here with offensive innovation, picking good coaches and teams and drafting well and developing the guys they draft and signing guys that complement their scheme. The Saints got this stuff right and they're on the way up. They're on the right way up. And depending on how tough the team is in terms of its accountability and its seriousness to winning and its overall football intelligence, meaning we don't hurt ourselves with pre-snap penalties and fumbles, and that we're smart enough to take advantage of our rivals or our ops when they do it. You know, we should have some success. People say Washington, they keep telling me, Q, we can have a Washington Commander type resurgence here. You know, and like I said, that's totally possible because of the fact that when you have a leader and somebody that's accountable, all that other stuff that kills teams that don't have a leader, like guy backstabbing his players, throwing them under the bus, fracturing his team, not knowing how to talk to people, stupid, don't know how to make adjustments, just overall an idiot. But in the end, you don't have that. You got a leader here, somebody that's serious, that the team is willing to grow with. Plus, he won a championship last year as a offensive coordinator. He bringing that in here to add to it. So a lot of positive things are flowing here with this move, and they're headed in the right direction. Make no bones about it. They really are. All right. Yeah, L. Bless says, too bad Mickey's going to take credit for it. You're not going to get him to step. No, he ain't going. That's fine. You know, like I said, the thing about Mickey Loomis is that's fine for him to stay as long as the team winning because you get the right people in there, he won't interfere. He won't dibble dabble. He won't step in the way. You know, he'll do what you say, and he got the right guy there. So I'm all right with that as long as he keep doing that and he stay the hell out the way. Now, in terms of him taking credit for it, yeah, he gonna get a degree of credit for it. We talked about this on the last show, but people gonna forget that it was the Who Dat Nation that fired that guy Gale to fire Dennis Allen because had we not done that, that Dennis Allen would be the team's coach right now. He would not have fired him. He was lobbying Gail to keep him, and she telling him to fire him. And this dude on the 7-game losing streak, he trying to get Gail to keep that guy. So people gonna forget that, and when we start winning, gonna say Mickey turned it around. You can give him credit for making the right hire. Like I said, I was about to not give him shit, but I got to be. I'm a fair man. I got to give him credit for at least getting the Kellen Moore hire right. Right, he went in a different direction and got a good young coach that can grow with the team. So I got to give him that credit to do that. But the Who Dat Nation was the one that got Gil to fire that bum ass coach that he had here before that. And when we got him out, got her to fire that possum face jerk, we was able to get his quarterback out of here the following year because that guy could not exist in an environment where he didn't have any protection. That's what Dennis Allen was doing. All that time was creating these all weird little protective measures to keep Derek Carr from feeling the pressure and burden. He did. That's what he was doing. But when that was away, when that bulletproof glass was cleared away, and he had to face the scrutiny and the heat of the Who Dat Nation by itself, man, that dude fold like a broken lawn chair. He fold. Came up with all kind of stuff. And I don't believe nothing he say. So in the end, I'm just happy it all worked out. We was able to hit two ducks with one stone. Got his ass up out of here. All right. So anyway, that's what I got, fam. I'll let y'all go ahead on and y'all have a good rest of your night. I'm gonna cut out on that. That's all I got for tonight. Listen, let's appreciate you guys for chiming in. Do me a service, hit the like button. Please do me that service. Hit the like button. Share the coma on your social media feed. Don't matter where you at. Take the coma with you. We up in this thing, man. Shout out to the mighty Who Dat Nation. Also, give some love to our sponsors, Optory, Mint Mobile, and Teach Henley. Right now, you can check out Optory for virtual protection in terms of taking your name off these lists, these mailing lists, these calling lists, and just protecting your overall virtual identity. Optory is very inexpensive. It works. It's smart, and it's just a good decision. And plus, right now with Optory, with the code in the description section next to the link, you put that code in, you get 20% off on your Optory charge. So check them out, man, and all of our fantastic sponsors as well. So anyway, with that being, what's up, Jeffrey? Shout out to Jeffrey. Big ups to you, bro. Professor, much love. Professor signed up. Shout out to you, Professor, as well, man. But yeah, that Optory, man, and all the sponsorship, man, is good, man. I'll be trying to find people that could be a service to the community, man, because you know what time it is nowadays. But anyway, listen, I'm gonna be out of here. Listen, I'll talk to you guys, the rest of the family members, tomorrow on Tuesday. It's Patreon Tuesday, man. Well, actually, it's tomorrow now, right? Isn't it? Well, yeah, it is. So it is. It's Tuesday right now. So I'll see you guys later on today on Patreon and for our YouTube membership and Patreon champions. We're going to talk about the black and gold, all the latest news, notes, and items, signings, whatever's going on for Tuesday. We're going to have it all covered on Patreon. If you want to join us, go to patreon.com/Pro Media Network or simply become a member of our YouTube channel. Either way gets you there. With that being said, I'm going to get out on that. I appreciate y'all so much, man. Y'all be safe, and I'm going to holler at you on the next one. Much love, peace, and who that to?
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shade for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy, then you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Yeah, brother like this, and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 Boogie like this, and I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network. WhoThatDaily.com. That's right, the WhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, and even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who That and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, WhoThatDaily.com is your site. The WhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who That in all of us. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. And remember, it helps the platform continue to grow. Check out the Pro Shop and Who That.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I first ditched big wireless and started using Mint Mobile way back in 2019. Back then, you could get premium wireless for only $15 a month. Today, Mint Mobile's premium wireless has gone up by... Okay, wow, that's it, zero. It's gone up $0 a month since 2019. That doesn't seem fiscally responsible to me, but again, you're welcome. And I'm not an accountant. Hate math, always hated math. True story, I was in math 10A when I was in 12th grade.
Being amazing is uncomplicated with Tiege Hanley's simplified skincare system. Here's how it works. Go to Tiege.com, pick your system, and get handsome. 3 simple steps. Wash, scrub, and moisturize. It's that simple.
Guys, go to Tiege.com and get started today.
To be a therapist, in my opinion, is one of the most humbling things ever.
A platform like BetterHelp is very important because it allows access to affordable mental health care.